when a ruthless Sinaloa cartel gang kicked Buddy just for fun. They had no idea that Nicholas Riccio, husband of Karoline Leavitt, was the dog's owner. A peaceful afternoon walk in Nogales quickly escalated into a dramatic confrontation, proving once again never mess with a man's dog. Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the latest stories. Nicholas Riccio, a 59-year-old real estate entrepreneur, walked down the dusty streets of Nogales, Arizona, where Sinaloa cartel tiger graffiti covered the weathered walls. The distant sound of patrol cars mixed with the smell of tacos from street vendors, a reminder of the tension near the U.S.-Mexico border. Beside Riccio, Buddy, a pit bull rescued from a shelter by him, and Karoline Leavitt, White House press secretary, trotted along, tail wagging furiously as if unaware of the danger. Riccio, with a pensive gaze, had come to Scoutland for a border resort project, but now he just wanted to relax with his four-legged friend. In his jacket pocket, his phone buzzed. A text from Leavitt. "Be careful, Nick." Riccio smiled, patted Buddy's head, and led the dog toward the lively but uneasy outdoor market. The outdoor market in Nogales, Arizona, buzzed like a vibrant yet uneasy painting. Rickety wooden stalls sold fruit, crafts, and sizzling tacos, mingled with the smell of smoke from open grills. Vendors' shouts blended with mariachi music from an old speaker, but the air remained heavy with wary glances from locals. Nicholas Riccio, tall and lean with a thoughtful gaze, gripped Buddy's leash tightly, the pit bull curiously sniffing a stall corner. He stopped by a public fountain, its water trickling weakly through grime. "Hold on, Buddy," Riccio said, his voice warm and low, pulling a water bottle from his jacket to pour into his hand for the dog to drink. Buddy lapped it up, tail wagging, brown eyes gleaming with trust. When Riccio looked up, he noticed three men standing a few meters away near a dusty pickup truck. They wore leather jackets, torn jeans, and one had a prominent tiger tattoo on his left arm, visible under a rolled-up sleeve. This man, with a buzz cut and icy stare, was glaring at Riccio and Buddy. Riccio sensed danger, but tried to stay calm, stroking Buddy's head to soothe the dog, who was starting to growl softly. "Easy, boy," he whispered, eyes still watching the group. The man with the tiger tattoo, called Hector by his companions, stepped forward, holding a beer can. He smirked, tossing a small stone toward Buddy. The stone rolled past the dog's paw, startling Buddy, who barked sharply a few times. Riccio tightened the leash, stepping in front of Buddy. "Hey Buddy, please stop," he said, voice calm but firm. "My dog didn't do anything to you." Hector laughed loudly, a dry cackle echoing through the market. "Look at this dog," he said with a mocking tone, turning to his two chuckling companions. "Thinks it's king around here, huh?" He threw another stone, this time hitting Buddy's leg, making the dog yelp in pain and step back. Riccio felt his blood boil but restrained himself, recalling Leavitt's words over the phone during tense moments. "Stay calm, Nick. Don't let emotions take over." "Listen," Riccio said, stepping closer, eyes locked on Hector. "I don't want trouble. Just leave us alone." His voice was firm, but his hand still held the leash, keeping Buddy close. Hector raised an eyebrow, clearly unaccustomed to being challenged. He stepped forward, just a foot from Riccio, his beer-soaked breath heavy. "Who are you to give me orders, fool?" he growled, jabbing a finger at Riccio's chest. "Cop, or some lackey for the businessmen trying to steal our land?" Riccio didn't answer, but he realized Hector mistook him for a bigger threat, perhaps due to his Nogales real estate project. He shook his head slightly. "I'm just a guy walking his dog, nothing more." But Hector didn't back down. He turned to his companions, grinning wickedly. "Hear that? This guy thinks he's important." One of the two men behind, with long hair tied in a ponytail, spoke up. "Hector, let it go. It's not worth it." But Hector ignored him, eyes fixed on Buddy, as if the dog was a target for his rage. Riccio felt the air growing thicker with tension. Nearby vendors began to look away, some pulling down their stall curtains. He knew he was at a disadvantage. Three men, possibly armed, against him and a dog. He stroked Buddy's back, feeling the dog's body tense, ready to protect its owner. "Let's go, Buddy," Ricky said, voice low, turning to leave. But Hector shouted, "Running? You and that dog won't get away so easy." He threw an empty beer can at them, narrowly missing Riccio's shoulder and clattering to the ground. Riccio didn't look back, but his heart pounded. He led Buddy out of the market, quickening his pace, eyes scanning alleys to ensure they weren't followed. At a safe distance, he stopped, kneeling to check Buddy. The dog still wagged its tail, but Riccio saw alertness in Buddy's eyes. "You okay, boy?" he whispered, petting the dog's head. He pulled out his phone, intending to text Leavitt, but decided to wait for more information. He memorized Hector's features: tiger tattoo, leather jacket, growling voice, and a growing sense of unease gripped him. Riccio knew this encounter wasn't random, and Nogales, with its cartel shadows, was testing him. Nicholas Riccio led Buddy away from the Nogales, Arizona, outdoor market, his heart still racing from the tense confrontation with Hector and his gang. The dusty streets seemed to close in, the tiger and eagle graffiti walls pressing against him. Buddy, the loyal pit bull, walked beside him, but Riccio noticed the dog's eyes glinting with alertness, as if still sensing Hector's threat. He knelt, petting Buddy's head, trying to dispel the unease. "Let's find a place to rest, okay, boy?" he said, voice warm and low, leading Buddy toward El Sol Cafe, a small diner at the street corner. The smell of sizzling tacos mixed with faint mariachi music offered some comfort amid Nogales' heavy atmosphere. El Sol Cafe was a small oasis in the grim neighborhood, with rusty iron tables on the patio, shaded by a faded tin roof. A few patrons, truck drivers, locals, sipped coffee or munched on cornbread, their eyes avoiding contact as if fearing attention. Riccio chose a secluded table where he could watch the entrance. He tied Buddy's leash to the table leg, pouring water from his jacket's bottle into a plastic bowl for the dog. Buddy lapped it up, tail wagging slightly, but his brown eyes still scanned the surroundings, not forgetting the market incident. Riccio sat, pulling out his phone, intending to text Karoline Leavitt, but hesitated. He didn't want to worry her while she was busy as White House press secretary in Washington, D.C. Instead, he stroked Buddy's back, whispering, "You're the bravest boy, aren't you?" The distant rumble of a truck engine was suddenly drowned out by the loud chatter of a group entering the cafe area. Riccio looked up, and his heart sank. Hector, tiger tattoo stark on his arm, led 3 men, including the ponytail guy from the market. They wore dirty leather jackets, torn jeans, and laughed boisterously, claiming a table near the entrance. They ordered beers and tacos from the waiter, a young man named Juan, who looked nervous, hands trembling as he set the bottles down. Hector glanced around, his eyes locking on Riccio and Buddy. A sinister grin spread across his face. "Look at that," he said loudly. Voice provocative, "The fool and his cocky dog are here." Riccio clenched his fists, blood rushing to his head. He stroked Buddy's back, feeling the dog's body tense, ready to bark. "Easy, Buddy," he whispered, eyes fixed on Hector. But Hector didn't stop. He stood, sauntering to Riccio's table, beer can swaying in his hand. "You think you could run from me at the market?" he growled, breath reeking of beer. "In Nogales I'm king, and you're just an outsider with a stupid dog." His companions laughed loudly, some patrons lowering their heads, avoiding eye contact. Juan stood behind the counter, eyes anxious, but too scared to intervene. Riccio stood, positioning himself between Buddy and Hector, eyes steely. "I said I don't want trouble," he said, voice resolute. "Leave us alone and everyone's fine." But Hector just scoffed, his gaze shifting to Buddy. "This dog," he said, pointing at Buddy, "barked at the wrong guy. Let me teach it a lesson." Before Riccio could react, Hector raised his foot, kicking Buddy hard in the ribs. The kick made a dull thud, sending the dog yelping in pain tumbling to the ground. Buddy tried to stand, barking fiercely, but his left leg limped, clearly in agony. Buddy's barks echoed, drawing every patron's eyes in the cafe. Blood surged to Riccio's head. He lunged, grabbing Hector's leather jacket, slamming him against the cement wall behind. "What did you just do?" Riccio roared, voice trembling with rage, his face inches from Hector's. The patrons fell silent, the cafe's air freezing. Hector looked briefly surprised but quickly regained his arrogance. "Let me go, fool," he said coldly, "or you and that dog won't see tomorrow's sun." Hector's companions stood, hands on their belts, as if ready to draw knives or guns. Juan stepped forward, voice shaking. Please stop, please. No trouble here. The boss won't like this. Riccio took a deep breath, recalling Karoline's words in tense moments. Honey, stay calm. Don't let them drag you down. He slowly released Hector's jacket, but his eyes still burned. Touch my dog again, you'll regret it, he said, voice low but razor sharp, cutting through the air. Hector adjusted his jacket, smirking, but a flicker of unease crossed his eyes. Regret? I'll teach you and that dog what regret means, he said, then signaled his companions to leave. As they vanished, Hector's laughter echoed, leaving the cafe in heavy silence. Riccio knelt beside Buddy, checking the dog with trembling hands. Buddy licked his hand, trying to wag his tail, but each step limped, breaking Riccio's heart. I'm sorry, boy, he whispered, petting Buddy's head, guilt rising for failing to protect the dog. He pulled out his phone, calling Karoline. Karoline, something happened, he said, when she answered, voice thick with worry. Buddy got kicked by a cartel guy. He's in pain. I don't know what to do. Karoline, though in a DC meeting, responded with a reassuring but firm tone. Honey, get Buddy to a vet right now. I'll contact someone who can help. Stay safe, okay? Riccio nodded, feeling bolstered by her strength. He untied the leash, lifting Buddy despite the dog's weight. Hang in there, Buddy, he said, hurrying out of the cafe. Juan ran after, handing Riccio a water bottle, and pointing to a vet clinic a few blocks away. Be careful, Mr. Riccio, Juan whispered, eyes anxious. Hector's with the Sinaloa cartel. He's not joking. Nicholas Riccio nodded, and rushed out of El Sol Cafe, clutching Buddy tightly, heart pounding like it might burst. The Nogales, Arizona, streets now blurred into a gray haze under the harsh sun, graffiti walls and border truck noises fading into the background. Buddy, the loyal pit bull, lay still in his arms, but the dog's soft whimpers and pained eyes cut Riccio like a knife. Buddy's left leg dangled, each of Riccio's steps seeming to hurt the dog more. Hang on, boy, Riccio whispered, voice trembling. We're almost there. He ran through narrow alleys, dodging carts and curious stares from locals, heading toward the vet clinic Juan had pointed out. Sweat streamed down Riccio's forehead, soaking his shirt. His leather shoes slammed against the dusty road, echoing like his racing heartbeat. The image of Hector's cruel kick replayed in his mind, fueling his anger, but he restrained it, focusing on saving Buddy. Finally, after 3 blocks that felt like an eternity, the vet clinic appeared, a low building with a faded blue sign reading Clinica Veterinaria Nogales. Riccio shoved the door open, voice hoarse with panic. Please help me, my dog's badly hurt. The clinic sprang into action. A woman in a white coat, name tag reading, Dr. Elena Gomez, rushed over. Put him on that table. She pointed to a cold steel table in the exam room, voice calm but urgent. Riccio gently laid Buddy down, hand still stroking the dog's back to comfort him. Buddy whimpered softly, trying to lick his hand, but his eyes dimmed with pain. Dr. Gomez began examining, hands moving swiftly, checking Buddy's ribs, leg and pulse. What happened? She asked, eyes not leaving the dog. Riccio took a deep breath, trying to collect his thoughts. A guy at a diner, he kicked Buddy in the ribs, he said, voice choking. He's a cartel member, name's Hector. I think he did it to provoke me. Buddy tried to stand, but he's limping, and I'm scared. Scared he's got broken bones. He clenched his fists, nails digging into his palms, as he recalled Buddy's pained yelp. Dr. Gomez nodded, face stern. I see. There's signs of soft tissue trauma in the ribs and left leg. We need an X-ray now to check bones and organs. You stay here, okay? Riccio nodded, sinking into a chair by the exam table, hand still on Buddy's back. He felt helpless, as Dr. Gomez and a nurse wheeled Buddy into the X-ray room. The clinic felt stifling, the smell of antiseptic and other animals' whimpers heightening his stress. He pulled out his phone, calling Karoline Leavitt again, needing her voice to stay calm. Karoline, I'm at the vet, he said when she answered. Buddy's hurt, maybe broken bones. That guy, he did it on purpose, Karoline. Karoline, though in the middle of a meeting in Washington, D.C., responded with a reassuring but resolute tone. Honey, listen to me. Buddy will be okay because you got him there in time. I'm reaching out to a friend at the DEA to see what they can do about those cartel guys. Stay safe, okay? I need you and Buddy safe. I love you. The way she said honey, gentle yet strong, was like a tonic, helping Riccio regain his composure. Thanks, Karoline, he whispered. I'll stay here with Buddy. While waiting for the X-ray results, Riccio watched Dr. Gomez return with a file. She sat beside him, her voice calm but tinged with concern. I have good news and some things to note, she said. Buddy has no broken bones, but he has serious soft tissue trauma in his ribs and left leg. There's signs of internal bruising, so we'll keep him overnight for monitoring and pain meds. If there are no complications, he'll recover, but he'll need rest for a few weeks. Riccio exhaled, but the relief was quickly replaced by anger, as he thought of Hector. Thank you, doctor, he said. But that guy, he did this for fun. He's Sinaloa, I heard. Dr. Gomez frowned, her eyes showing familiarity with the story. I'm not surprised, she said, voice low. In Nogales, they often use violence to intimidate, even with animals. Last week, another dog was beaten near the market, and its owner was too scared to report it. She paused, looking at Riccio. Are you going to do anything? Because if you want to report this, I can provide a medical report. Riccio nodded, a sense of responsibility rising. I'll do something, he said. But I need to make sure Buddy's safe first. Dr. Gomez nodded, returning to check on Buddy, now resting on a soft bed with an IV drip. Riccio sat beside him, stroking the dog's head, feeling Buddy's faint breaths. He thought of Hector, his sinister grin and threats. Anger surged, but Karoline's words echoed. Stay calm, honey. He knew he couldn't confront the Sinaloa cartel directly, but he also couldn't let this cruelty slide. He pulled out his phone, texting Karoline, Buddy's okay, but I need help with the cartel. Have you reached the DEA yet? While waiting for a reply, Riccio looked around the clinic, noticing photos on the walls. Dr. Gomez with rescued dogs and cats, one showing her with kids, teaching them animal care. It made him respect her, but also realize Nogales was a complex community, where people like Dr. Gomez and Juan tried to survive amid cartel influence. His phone buzzed, a text from Karoline. Honey, I've spoken to DEA agent Maria Torres. She'll contact you. Be careful. Riccio gripped the phone, feeling a plan taking shape. Nicholas Riccio sat by the soft bed in the vet clinic, gently stroking Buddy's head. The pit bull, though weak, began wagging his tail slightly at his presence. The steady drip of the IV mixed with the creak of the ceiling fan, making the clinic feel stifling. Buddy's eyes, though clouded by pain meds, shone with trust, strengthening Riccio's resolve. He glanced at his watch, nearly 2 hours since he brought Buddy here. Karoline Leavitt's text still glowed on his phone screen. Riccio clutched the phone, the weight of responsibility heavy on his shoulders. He couldn't just sit and wait, not while Hector and the Sinaloa cartel roamed free. Riccio stood, whispering to Buddy. I'll be back soon, rest up. He nodded to Dr. Elena Gomez, who was jotting notes at the reception desk. I need to step out for a bit, he said. Please take care of Buddy. Dr. Gomez nodded, her eyes understanding. Don't worry, he'll be fine. But be careful out there, Mr. Riccio. Nogales doesn't forgive easily. Riccio gave a faint smile, sensing her sincerity, then stepped onto the dusty street, heading back to the outdoor market where it all began. The market was quieter now, the late afternoon sun casting an orange glow over the wooden stalls. A few vendors were packing up, children's laughter mixing with a radio broadcasting border security news. Riccio walked slowly, eyes scanning every corner for signs of Hector or his crew. He stopped at El Sol Cafe, where Juan, the young waiter, was wiping down patio tables. Juan looked up, a flicker of worry crossing his face when he recognized Riccio. Mr. Riccio, how's Buddy? He asked, voice low, as if afraid of being overheard. Riccio sat on an iron chair, motioning Juan closer. He's being treated, he said, But I need to know more about the guy who kicked him. Hector, right? What do you know about him? Juan glanced around, ensuring no one was listening, then sat across from Riccio. You shouldn't ask too much about him, Juan whispered. Hector's a Sinaloa cartel enforcer. Not a big boss, but vicious. He and his crew extort places like ours for protection money every month. If you don't pay, they beat you, or worse. Riccio frowned, anger rising again. Where does he usually hang out? He asked, voice firm. Juan hesitated, fear in his eyes. I shouldn't say, but I hate them. Hector often gathers at a warehouse near the border, west of Nogales. They store stuff, drugs, weapons, I'm not sure. But don't go there alone, they're not playing. Riccio nodded, memorizing the details. Thanks Juan, he said, sliding a $20 bill across the table. Keep this quiet, okay? Juan nodded, pocketing the money, his eyes glinting with a hint of hope. Riccio left the cafe, walking slowly through the market, observing more closely. He noticed an old dusty pickup truck parked at a street corner, like the one he saw near Hector at the market. He pulled out his phone, snapping a few discreet photos, careful not to draw attention. Passing a fruit cart, he met Rosa, an elderly woman with silver hair tied in a scarf. Rosa looked at him, her eyes warm but worried. I heard about your dog, she said, voice low. Hector did it, didn't he? He's threatened my stall for not paying. Riccio paused, sensing Rosa's sincerity. What do you know about him? Asked. Rosa sighed, gazing into the distance. He's this market's curse. He and the Sinaloa control everything, goods, people, but not everyone in Nogales fears him. Some of us want change, like me, like Juan. She paused, handing Riccio an orange. Be careful, friend. Don't let them drag you down. Riccio smiled, thanking Rosa, but inside, his resolve grew stronger. He sat on a bench near the fountain, opening his phone to send the truck photos and warehouse info to Karoline. Found some leads on Hector, he texted. Passed to Agent Torres. Buddy's okay, but I need to do something. Karoline's reply came almost instantly. Honey, I've sent it to Torres. She says she'll call you soon. Don't act alone, okay? I'm worried. Riccio smiled, feeling her love and determination in her words. As dusk settled over Nogales, Riccio stood heading back to the clinic. He knew he couldn't face Hector directly, but Juan and Rosa's info was a start. His phone buzzed, an unknown number. Mr. Riccio, this is DEA Agent Maria Torres, a strong, clear voice said. I got your info from Miss Leavitt. We need to talk. But first I need you to stay discreet and steer clear of the Sinaloa until I contact you again. Understood? Riccio nodded, though she couldn't see. Understood, he said. But I need that guy to pay for hurting Buddy. Torres paused for a second, then replied, I get how you feel, we'll handle it. Take care of your dog. Riccio hung up, sensing a larger plan forming. He entered the clinic, seeing Buddy asleep on the bed, breathing steadier. He sat, petting the dog's head, whispering, We'll make him pay, boy, I promise. But looking out the window, where Nogales' darkness loomed, Riccio knew this journey would demand more than anger. It needed cunning and patience. Nicholas Riccio left the vet clinic as dusk painted the Nogales, Arizona, sky red, leaving Buddy in Dr. Elena Gomez's care. His promise to the pit bull, to make Hector pay, echoed in his mind, but Agent Maria Torres' call made him more cautious. Steer clear of the Sinaloa, she'd said, her voice commanding. Riccio gripped his phone, walking the dusty street, eyes scanning the graffiti walls and distant truck noises. He decided to return to the market one more time, not to confront, but to observe, maybe find more clues about the truck, or warehouse Juan mentioned. But Nogales, with its shadows, had other plans. The outdoor market was now hushed, with only a few stalls open, neon lights flickering in the dusk. The smell of sizzling tacos lingered, but the mariachi music had stopped, replaced by vendors' whispers as they packed up. Riccio walked slowly, blending into the sparse crowd, his jacket pulled up to hide his face. He paused near the fountain, where he'd met Hector, eyes scanning the corner where the dusty truck had been parked. The truck was gone, but a familiar figure made him freeze. Diego, the ponytail guy, Hector's accomplice, stood in an alley, talking to a man in a hoodie. Riccio stepped back behind an empty stall, heart racing. He didn't intend to be spotted, but Diego turned, his gaze sweeping the market and locking on Riccio. "Hey!" Diego shouted, voice sharp, striding toward him. "You're the dog guy, right?" Riccio cursed under his breath, turning to run, but the alley behind was too narrow, and Diego, with long legs, closed the gap fast. "Stop, you bastard!" Diego roared, footsteps echoing on the pavement. Riccio bolted into another alley, dodging trash cans and old bikes piled up. He heard Diego yell something in Spanish, likely calling for backup. Adrenaline surging, Riccio vaulted a rickety wooden fence, leapt over a muddy puddle, and nearly fell when he tripped on a stone. The alley led to a vacant lot near the border, where dim streetlights illuminated a towering metal fence. Riccio stopped, panting, realizing he'd been cornered. Diego appeared at the alley's mouth, clutching a switchblade, eyes gleaming. "Think you're smart, huh?" he said, advancing. "Hector said you're trouble. I'll deal with you before you cause more." Riccio backed up, his back hitting the fence, hands searching for anything to defend himself. He wasn't a fighter, but he wasn't giving up. "I don't want to fight," Riccio said, voice steady. "But if you touch me, you'll regret it, like Hector did with my dog." Diego sneered, raising the blade. "Your dog? It deserved it. So do you." Just as Diego lunged, a shout rang out from behind. "Stop!" Rosa, the fruit vendor who'd spoken to Riccio, stood at the alley's entrance, gripping a broom. "Leave him alone, Diego," she yelled, voice trembling but resolute. Diego froze, his eyes darting between Riccio and Rosa. "You want to die, old lady," he growled, but Rosa didn't back down. "You know what I lost to your Sinaloa crew," she said, eyes red. "Want more blood on your hands?" Rosa's appearance made Diego hesitate, but only for a moment. He turned back to Riccio, blade still raised. Riccio seized the moment, grabbing a wooden plank from the trash, holding it defensively. "Walk away, Diego," he said, voice low but sharp. "You don't want more trouble." Diego wavered, then a patrol car's siren wailed in the distance, maybe just passing, but enough to spook him. "You're lucky," Diego snarled, pocketing the knife, then sprinting into the dark. Riccio dropped the plank, panting, turning to Rosa. "Thank you," he said, voice choked. Rosa shook her head, eyes sad. "I couldn't let them take another person," she said. "My son, Sinaloa took him 2 years ago. I don't want you to share his fate." Riccio nodded, feeling her pain. "I'll be careful," he promised. Rosa handed him a water bottle, pointing the way back to the market. "Go, before he returns with his crew." Riccio hurried from the lot, heart still pounding. Back at the vet clinic, he saw Dr. Gomez checking Buddy. "How's he doing?" he asked, voice anxious. Gomez smiled faintly. "Better, no signs of internal damage, but he'll need rest and physical therapy for a few weeks." Riccio exhaled, sitting beside Buddy, petting his head. Buddy licked his hand, tail wagging weakly, as if saying he was okay. Riccio pulled out his phone, calling Agent Torres, recounting the Diego encounter. "I barely got away," he said, voice low. "They know I'm watching. You need to move fast." Torres replied, calm but serious. "I understand, Mr. Riccio. We're monitoring the warehouse you mentioned. But I need you to stay away, at least until we're ready to raid. Promise me." Riccio nodded, though she couldn't see. "All right," he said, "but I want that guy to pay for Buddy." Hanging up, Riccio looked at Buddy, a surge of determination rising. He texted Karoline, "Honey, just had a close call but I'm okay. Buddy's recovering. Torres is handling it." He sat back beside Buddy, whispering, "We'll get through this, boy." Nicholas Riccio sat in the vet clinic, the flickering fluorescent lights of Nogales, Arizona, casting shadows on his anxious face. Buddy, the pit bull, lay on a soft bed, his breathing steadier thanks to pain meds, but his eyes still followed Riccio, as if saying he trusted him. The alley encounter with Diego still made Riccio's heart race, and Agent Maria Torres' warning, "Stay away from the Sinaloa," echoed in his mind. But he couldn't just wait. Hector and Diego, who'd hurt Buddy, were still out there, and Riccio felt a duty to act, not just for Buddy, but for people like Rosa and Juan, terrorized by the cartel. His phone buzzed, breaking the silence. "Mr. Riccio, Maria Torres here." Her strong voice came through. "We need to meet. I'm at La Frontera Cafe, 5 minutes from the clinic. Come alone, and make sure no one follows." Riccio nodded, though she couldn't see, then looked at Buddy. "I'll be back, boy," he whispered, petting the dog's head before standing. He nodded to Dr. Elena Gomez at the reception desk. "I'm stepping out for a bit," he said. Gomez frowned, eyes worried. "Be careful, Mr. Riccio. Nogales nights aren't safe." Riccio gave a faint smile, feeling her concern, and stepped onto the street. La Frontera Cafe was a small nook tucked among old buildings, with dim lights and a few chipped wooden tables. As Riccio pushed the door open, the smell of roasted coffee hit him, mixed with a radio broadcasting border news. Torres sat in a corner, wearing a black jacket, hair tied neatly, her sharp eyes scanning him. "Sit," she gestured, sliding a coffee cup toward him. Riccio sat, feeling like he was entering another world, the DEA's world, one of dangerous plans. "Thanks for coming," Torres said, voice low. "I've reviewed your info. The truck, the warehouse. It matches what we suspect about Sinaloa and Nogales." Riccio nodded, gripping the coffee cup. "Hector and Diego," he said. "They hurt my dog, and they're threatening the whole market. What's your plan?" Torres sipped her coffee, eyes never leaving him. "We're planning a raid on that warehouse," she said. "SWAT's involved, along with drone intel. The warehouse holds Sinaloa's drugs and weapons, maybe evidence of extortion. If we grab Hector and Diego, we could trace higher-ups." She paused, eyeing Riccio. "But I need you to stay away. Your run-in with Diego was too close already." Riccio frowned, frustration mixing with resolve. "I understand," he said, "but Buddy's family. I can't let them walk free." Torres sighed, her eyes showing a hint of empathy. "I know the feeling," she said, voice low. 3 years ago my sister died from Sinaloa fentanyl. I do this to stop them from destroying more families. But Mr. Riccio, if you get involved, you'll complicate things for us and for Buddy." Her words hit Riccio, reminding him of Karoline's advice. "Honey, trust others when you need to." Riccio nodded, though conflicted. "What do you need from me?" he asked. Torres gave a slight smile. "Just stay safe, and share any details you recall. You've already helped a lot. The truck photos, warehouse location. Leave the rest to us." She handed him a number scribbled on paper. "Call me if anything seems off, but don't act on your own." Riccio's phone buzzed, a text from Karoline. "Honey, just spoke to a federal official. They're giving DEA more resources. How's Buddy? I'm so worried." Riccio texted back, "Buddy's doing better. Met Torres. I'll be careful. Love you." He pocketed the phone, looking at Torres. "My wife's helping you from DC, he said. Torres nodded, her eyes glinting with respect. "Miss Leavitt's a force. You're lucky to have her." Riccio left the cafe, mind reeling with Torres' plan. He returned to the clinic, seeing Buddy asleep, tail twitching slightly as he approached. He sat, reflecting on Torres' words. He wanted to confront Hector, to see him arrested for hurting Buddy, but he knew Torres was right. Reckless moves could worsen things. He thought of Rosa, her son taken by Sinaloa, and Juan, scared but still helping. Nogales wasn't just his and Buddy's story. It was a community's, living under cartel shadows. Riccio stroked Buddy's head, whispering, "We'll make them pay, boy, but the right way." He pulled out his phone, noting details he recalled about Diego, the hoodie, the way he held the knife, and sent them to Torres. He knew he couldn't join the raid, but he could help his way. As moonlight streamed through the clinic window, Riccio felt a spark of hope. Torres and the DEA were moving, Karoline was supporting from afar, and Buddy was healing. The meeting with Agent Maria Torres at La Frontera lingered in Riccio's mind. The planned raid on the Sinaloa warehouse, where Hector and Diego hid, was nearing. Torres' warning, "Stay away," curbed his anger, but the image of Hector's cruel kick to Buddy still burned. He checked his phone, seeing a text from Karoline Leavitt. "Honey, Torres says it's set. How's Buddy? I'm praying for you both. Riccio smiled, texting back, Buddy's better. I'm waiting on Torres, love you. He petted Buddy's head, whispering, it's almost over, boy. The Nogales, Arizona. Night was frigid and still, broken only by distant patrol car hums. Riccio got a call from Torres at midnight. Her voice tense but controlled through the speaker. Mr. Riccio, we move in 1 hour. The warehouse west of Nogales, just as you described. SWAT's in position, drones are watching. I need you to stay at the clinic, nowhere near. Got it? Riccio nodded, though she couldn't see, adrenaline rising. Got it? He said, voice low. But I want to know when you get Hector. Torres paused a second, then said, I'll let you know. Stay safe. The call ended, leaving Riccio hopeful yet uneasy, like standing before a storm. Unable to sit still, Riccio decided to head to a safe vantage point, a low hill about half a mile from the warehouse, where he could watch without breaking his promise to Torres. He asked Dr. Gomez to watch Buddy, put on his jacket, and left. The Nogales night was cold, his breath forming white clouds as he climbed the rocky slope. From the hill, he saw the warehouse, an old cement building, with a rusty tin roof, faint yellow light spilling from broken windows. Dusty trucks were parked haphazardly outside. Shadows of men, likely Sinaloa enforcers, moving about, cigarettes glowing in the dark. Riccio hid behind a bush, heart pounding, steadying his breath to stay silent. Suddenly, the darkness shattered with blinding floodlights and roaring engines. A SWAT team, in black armor, poured from armored vans, moving like ghosts, rifles raised. A megaphone blared, icy, DEA. Hands up and get on the ground. Gunshots followed, short and sharp, mixed with breaking glass and panicked shouts. Riccio clenched his fists, eyes glued to the chaos. Tear gas smoke rose, clouding the warehouse, but he saw figures scattering, some tackled by SWAT, faces pressed to the ground, hands cuffed behind backs. Police sirens wailed from afar, signaling backup, red and blue lights flashing like Nogales' heartbeat. The raid lasted less than 10 minutes, but to Riccio, it felt like a lifetime. As the smoke cleared, he saw Hector, tiger tattoo peeking from a torn shirt, handcuffed, face bloodied but still snarling, shoved into a van by 2 DEA officers. Diego, the ponytail guy, was also caught, eyes frantic as he was dragged off, hoodie sleeve ripped. Riccio exhaled, relief and satisfaction washing over him like a wave. The men who hurt Buddy were no longer free. He reached for his phone to text Karoline, but Torres called first. Riccio, we got Hector, Diego and 6 others, she said, voice tired but triumphant. The warehouse is loaded, fentanyl, guns, extortion ledgers. You helped big time. Thank you, Torres, Riccio said, voice thick with emotion. Hector, did he say anything about Buddy? Torres gave a dry laugh. He cursed as usual, but we found dog hair on his boots, matches Buddy. That's extra evidence for animal cruelty, maybe more violence. Want to see him? Riccio shook his head, though she couldn't see. No, I just needed to know he's caught, Torres replied. Good, stay with your dog, we'll take it from here. Riccio left the hill, walking slowly through Nogales streets, mind still reeling from the raid. He passed a temporary police post near the warehouse, where DEA agents were processing suspects. Hector stood by a patrol car, cuffed, his cold eyes scanning the crowd. He spotted Riccio, a sinister grin crossing his battered face. Think you won, fool? Hector growled, voice hoarse from tear gas. Sinaloa never forgets. Riccio stepped closer, a few meters away, eyes locked on Hector, unflinching. My dog's stronger than you think, he said, voice low but sharp as a blade, and you'll pay for touching him, in prison. Hector opened his mouth, but an officer slammed the car door, cutting him off. Riccio stood there, anger fading, replaced by rare calm. He recalled Karoline's words, honey, justice doesn't need fists. He hadn't fought Hector, but he'd helped put him behind bars, thanks to Juan Rosa and the info he gave Torres. Back at the clinic, Dr. Gomez greeted him with a smile. Heard it on the radio, she said, eyes gleaming with joy. DEA nabbed the Sinaloa crew. You had a hand in it, didn't you? Riccio shook his head, smiling faintly. I'm just a guy walking his dog. But inside he knew he'd done more. He sat beside Buddy, petting his head. We did it, boy, he whispered. Buddy licked his hand, tail wagging faintly, as if knowing his attacker was punished. Riccio texted Karoline. Hector and Diego caught. Buddy's okay. Love you. He looked out the window, where moonlight bathed Nogales, now seeming gentler. Torres would keep hunting Sinaloa, but for Riccio, this victory, Buddy safe, Hector jailed, was enough. After the DEA's warehouse raid, where Hector and Diego were caught, Nogales, Arizona, felt lighter, as if the town had shed a burden. Buddy, though still weak, wagged his tail more vigorously, his brown eyes sparkling with life. Dr. Elena Gomez walked in, holding a chart, smiling. Buddy's ready to go home, she said. The soft tissue injuries are healing well. Just rest, light physical therapy, and a special diet for a few weeks. Riccio exhaled, petting Buddy's head. Thank you, Elena, he said, voice thick with emotion. I don't know what I'd have done without you. Riccio carried Buddy out of the clinic, gently placing the dog on the back seat of his rental car, careful not to hurt his left leg. Driving through Nogales, he noticed the outdoor market vibrant again. Wooden stalls brimmed with fruit and crafts, mariachi music blared from radios, and locals smiled more, as if Sinaloa's shadow had partly lifted. Riccio parked near El Sol Cafe, where Juan, the waiter, was wiping tables. Juan ran over, eyes lighting up at Buddy. He's okay, he cheered, kneeling to pet Buddy's head. Heard the DEA got Hector. This market, it's different now, Mr. Riccio. Riccio nodded, sensing the change. How about you, Juan? He asked. Juan grinned, eyes hopeful. I'm starting my own taco stand, he said. No, Hector, I think I've got a shot. Riccio clapped his shoulder. I know you'll do great. He looked around, spotting Rosa, the fruit vendor who saved him from Diego, arranging her stall. Rosa waved, walking over, hugging Riccio lightly. Thank you, she said, voice trembling. Not just for the dog, but for giving us hope. Nogales needs people like you. Rosa's words moved Riccio, but he shook his head. I just wanted to protect Buddy, he said. The rest was the DEA, and people like you, Juan. Rosa smiled, handing him an orange. For Buddy, she said, winking. Riccio grinned, feeling Nogales had become part of him. His phone buzzed, Karoline Leavitt calling from the airport. Honey, I just landed in Tucson, she said, voice brimming with joy. I'll be in Nogales in an hour. How's Buddy? Riccio updated her on Buddy's condition, relief washing over him at her voice. He's okay, and you're almost here. I can't wait. An hour later, Karoline appeared at the market, in a simple jacket, blonde hair tied back. She ran to Riccio, hugging him tightly, then knelt beside Buddy, petting his head. Brave boy, she whispered, eyes glistening. Buddy licked her hand, tail wagging furiously. Karoline stood, holding Riccio's hand. I've set up a short press conference, she said. Not for politics, but to talk about Nogales, about what you and the community did. Riccio frowned, unused to attention, but nodded at her determined look. At a small square near the market, Karoline stood before a few local reporters, voice clear. This story started with a dog, but it's bigger. Nogales is home to strong people, like Rosa, Juan, and my husband Nick, who didn't give up. We need cooperation, U.S. and Mexico, to fight cartel violence, because innocent people on both sides of the border are victims. Her words touched Riccio, filling him with pride. After the press conference, he shared an idea with Karoline. I want to fund a dog park in Nogales, to honor Buddy, a safe place for kids and pets. Karoline squeezed his hand, smiling. That's a wonderful idea, honey. I'll help. Riccio looked at Buddy, lying on the grass nearby, and felt a new chapter opening. As they left the market, Riccio glanced back at Nogales, no longer just a place of graffiti and danger, but a community reviving. He knew Sinaloa remained a threat, but today, with Buddy recovering and Hector arrested, he sensed hope. He hugged Karoline, whispering, Thank you, honey. She smiled, replying, We're a team, Nick. With Buddy by their side, they walked on, ready for the future. Nicholas Riccio stood on the lush green lawn of their New Hampshire home, soft sunlight filtering through maple trees, glinting off Buddy's sleek brown coat. The pit bull, now nearly fully recovered, bounded playfully, tail wagging furiously as he chased a tennis ball, Riccio tossed. The wounds from Hector's kick in Nogales, Arizona, had healed, leaving only faint marks on his ribs, like souvenirs of a challenging journey. Karoline Leavitt, in a simple sweater, stepped out from the porch, holding 2 coffee mugs. She smiled, handing one to Riccio, then leaned into his shoulder, eyes following Buddy. "Look at that boy, honey," she said, voice brimming with joy. No one thought Buddy was that tough. Riccio sipped his coffee, a rare calm washing over him. The Nogales trip, from the dusty market, the confrontation with Hector, to the DEA raid, now felt like a distant dream, but its lessons remained vivid in his mind. "I didn't just learn about Buddy," he said, voice low. "I learned about Nogales, about people like Rosa, Juan, Dr. Gomez. They live on the edge, but they don't give up." Karoline nodded, squeezing his hand. "And you, Nick, you didn't give up, even for just a dog. I'm proud of you." They sat on a wooden bench, Buddy trotting over, resting his head in Karoline's lap. She petted him, eyes shining with pride. "Yesterday, I read a DEA report," she said. "After Hector and Diego's arrest, Sinaloa activity in Nogales dropped noticeably. Not gone, but a start." Riccio nodded, thinking of the dog park he'd funded in Nogales, a small space with green grass, benches, and a plaque bearing Buddy's name. He pictured kids playing, dogs running, and Rosa smiling by her fruit stand. "That's what I hoped for," he said. "A better place, not just for Buddy, but for everyone." Riccio recalled the moment in Nogales, facing Hector one last time, the man's cold eyes locked behind a police car door. He hadn't struck him, hadn't let anger take over, as Karoline always urged. "Honey, justice takes patience." He'd chosen right. With his information, the DEA not only caught Hector, but disrupted part of Sinaloa's network. But more than that, he learned justice wasn't just punishment, but fostering hope. As Rosa had said, "Nogales needs people like you." Karoline leaned her head on his shoulder, sunlight catching her blonde hair. "I think Buddy taught us something," she said, smiling softly. "Love, for animals, for each other, can change things." Riccio nodded, watching Buddy roll in the grass, barking happily. "Yeah," he said. "Buddy was why I fought, but Nogales showed me what to fight for." He thought of Juan, now running his own taco stand, and Dr. Gomez, still saving animals amid cartel shadows. They were proof that a community, however fragile, could outlast violence. As the sun set, Riccio stood, pulling Karoline into a hug. "Thank you," he whispered, feeling her warmth. She smiled, replying, "We're a team, Nick." Buddy ran up, nudging between them, making them both laugh. Riccio knelt, hugging Buddy's head. "You're the best boy," he said, and Buddy licked his face, as if agreeing. The house glowed in the twilight, and Riccio knew that, despite Nogales' ongoing challenges, their story, Buddy's, his, Karoline's, had left a mark. Justice didn't come from one person, but from unity, patience, and love. He held Karoline's hand, watching Buddy romp on the lawn, and felt that, no matter how complex the world, they'd found light in the darkness. The story of Nicholas Riccio, Buddy and the Mexican Cartel, reflects many facets of life in America today, especially the interplay of personal compassion and community responsibility amid social unrest. Riccio, an ordinary man, stood up for Buddy, a dog attacked by the Sinaloa cartel, not just to protect his pet, but to unwittingly spark change in Nogales. His actions, from providing DEA intel to funding a dog park, show that one person can make a big impact when combining love with patience and collaboration. Figures like Rosa, who faced Diego to save Riccio, and Juan, who overcame fear to share information, embody the American spirit of unity in communities threatened by violence or injustice. Karoline Leavitt's press conference, stressing cross-border cooperation, reminds us that issues like cartels or drugs can't be solved through division, but require empathy and alliance. The lesson from this story, for real-life America today, is act from compassion, but with strategy and community support. If you witness injustice, like Riccio seeing Buddy kicked, don't let anger take over. Instead, as Riccio did by working with Torres and the DEA, find ways to collaborate with experts, from police to community groups. Small acts, like Rosa helping Riccio in the alley, can inspire big change. Build dog parks in real life, safe spaces where love and hope are nurtured, wherever you are. Subscribe to the channel to follow stories of courage and animal love like Buddy and Riccio's. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.